Hello everyone, Zach Barnes here for the WT Sports Network, welcoming you to this week's edition of Heard That. It's a very special edition of Heard That. It's the day after Valentine's Day, which means all the chocolates now at least 50% off. That's the real holiday. All joking aside, it was a very, very busy week in Buff and Lady Buff sports, and we've got a lot of information to go through, so let's see if we can get through this pretty quickly. First, we'll talk Lady Buff basketball, adding 2 more wins to their season this last weekend against Cameron and Midwestern. Lady Buff's the big 86-69 win over Cameron on Thursday. And on Saturday, Allie Decker with a 20-point game, as the Lady Buffs ended up with a big 85-54 win over the Mustangs. On the men's side, 2 Buffaloes with 30-point games this weekend, as Jordan Evans put up 30 points against Cameron. The Buffs ended up winning that game 87-82. Then on Saturday, David Chavlovic answered with his own 30-point game against Midwestern State. Buffs ended up winning that one 80-74. Up next, both teams will be hitting the road once again. They will head to Texas A&M Kingsville on Thursday for 5:30 and 7:30 games. And on Saturday, they'll head to Angelo State for 2 and 4 o'clock games.
Kingsville is playing really well. Their best basketball now. They've won the last 2 out of 3 games. We'll see post players that we didn't play against the first time around when we played at home here. And they have a guard that just scored 28 points off the bench, hit the game winner against Commerce. So we'll have our hands full with Kingsville. They're playing much better this year. And as we keep saying for them, it's a new era in Kingsville basketball. They look completely different than the past. And Angelo's Angelo. We know they're tough. We know they're solid. They have a presence inside and out. And we will worry about them after that Kingsville game.
You're exactly right. Kingsville and Angelo are chasing us, and it'd be huge wins for them. It'd be huge wins for us because it would give us some separation between those teams. So these are going to be big games. Thursday and Saturday are both big. We've had some success down at Kingsville. It's not the easiest place to play. Johnny does a great job, and their guys are getting older and more mature. He's brought in a lot of freshmen and kind of went that route. So they're going to be very good. They've knocked off Tarleton down there. They've been in a lot of games. They had a tough weekend this last weekend, but they're a very good team, well coached. They kind of have some wild cards. They've got some guys that can go 3 for 4 from the 3-point line, and then they can go 1 for 5. So you got to rebound, you got to play defense on the road, and hopefully we can get 2 this weekend.
And also for Buffalo basketball, David Chavlovic for the 3rd time this season was named LSC Offensive Player of the Week. Buffalo baseball continuing their winning streak this last weekend, putting 3 more games up on their record, and WT baseball also off to its best start in program history. They hosted a 3-game series against Northwestern Oklahoma State this last weekend, and all 3 of those very big wins for the Buffs. Buffs ended up winning 15-0, 8-0, and 17-7.
Obviously, there's a lot of confidence and guys are feeling good. Anytime you start out 6-0, there's a good vibe in the clubhouse. I think there's got to be a balance, and that's the challenge this week, is just making sure you feed off of that, but at the same time pushing guys to stay focused and working hard and knowing that we've got to get better, because there's still some areas that we've got to improve in. That's a tough question to answer. I think we're playing really well defensively, and obviously we're swinging the bat really well. Our depth offensively is definitely one of our strengths. We've got 4 or 5 guys on our bench that are as good as anybody that's in our everyday lineup, and to even say that a bench guy or a starter right now is kind of up in the air, because that could change from one day to the next. If you look at our DH spot, it's been a revolving door, and not because we haven't been able to find someone to fill that void, just because every single guy we run out there keeps swinging the bat well. So I think our depth offensively right now is definitely one of our strengths.
Up next for Buffalo baseball, they will host a 3-game series here against Oklahoma Panhandle State on Friday and Saturday. They'll first play a single game on Friday at 6 o'clock, and then host a doubleheader on Saturday at 1 and 3:30.
It's real easy to look at their 2-4 record coming in and going, we got an easy weekend. And I think that would be a grave mistake on our part. They have won a couple of games. They've got some guys that are putting up offensive numbers. If you look at their arms, they've got 2 starters, and we're not talking about guys that have thrown 2 or 3 innings. We're talking about starters that have had 9 and 12 innings respectively, with a 1 ERA and a .60 ERA. So they've got some arms. They right out of the gate against Southwestern Oklahoma, they play a 2-1 ball game against a team that won their conference last year. So I think the biggest mistake we can make going into this weekend is thinking it's going to be an easy weekend and all we got to do is show up and things are going to go our way. And I think that's something that Coach Vandenberg has done a really good job of through this streak, is making sure guys know, and it doesn't matter who we play, it's about showing up to play the game of baseball and focusing on what we need to do rather than focusing on who's in the other dugout. So I think our guys will be ready to play.
And then after the weekend on Tuesday, we'll get a little bit of a treat as Buffalo Baseball will host Lubbock Christian starting at 5 o'clock. Also for WT Baseball, Marshall Kozowski earns this week's Lone Star Conference Pitcher of the Week with his 14 strikeout performance against Northwestern Oklahoma State on Friday. Lady Buff softball also continuing their hot start, hosting 6 games this last weekend at the WT Invitational. Lady Buffs started the weekend with a solid regional matchup with Fort Lewis, which Lady Buffs ended up winning that game 6-0. Lady Buffs later had a doubleheader against Washburn on Friday, which they ended up winning both of those games by the run rule. Then on Saturday, the Lady Buffs ended up with 3 more wins, all 3 of those coming via the run rule.
Yeah, anytime we can come out and play 6 games and be as consistent offensively as we were, we have to be happy about our performance. I thought that up and down the lineup, we had girls swinging the bat really well all weekend. It was great to get Ashley Harden back into her swing and having confidence at the plate. But the big thing is we're just creating a lot of offense, and maybe the long ball, or it might be getting people on and hitting balls in the gap, a lot like we did last year. I mean, we're hitting .399 as a team right now, so that was good. And then on the other side, obviously the pitching performances that we're getting. Kylie Halbert had a couple of big outings, and Alexis Alfonso threw well, and Shani Starkey did a really good job. So it's nice to have both sides of the game working. Now, obviously, competition is going to get better the further we get into the season, and we're going to have to continue to get better. So, I'm happy. I'm happy the way we're playing right now. It's good to build confidence when you're winning, but we also have to understand that there's a lot of season that we've got to get better for.
Up next for Lady Buff softball, will hit the road once again as they will head to the Cactus Classic over in Arizona. Over in Tucson, the Lady Buffs will get to see University of Mary, Lincoln Memorial, Academy of Art, and it will include a doubleheader against Dixie State.
It's going to be a good trip. I mean, we're seeing some teams that we've never played before. We're going to play University of Mary out of North Dakota, and they've kind of gotten off to a slow start, but they've done well in the Northern Sun in the past, so they could be a formidable opponent. Lincoln Memorial out of Tennessee is 4-0 right now, so we know we're going to have to play well against them. And Academy of Arts out of California is another program that has had success and decent talent. So those will be the first 3 games we play, and we're going to need to get better each time out for each of those games. But then we wrap up the weekend with Dixie State. We play Dixie State on Saturday afternoon, and then turn around and play them again Sunday morning. And right now Dixie State's 7-1. They just split with Colorado Mesa, and year in and year out they're a competitor for the West Region title, and they're a good ball club, and we've had some great matchups with them. So I'm excited to get to see them twice while we're out there. And this is our last weekend getting ready for conference, so we need to come out and play well.
Also in Lady Buff softball, Allie Smith being awarded the Lone Star Conference Hitter of the Week after her solid performance this last weekend. Buff and Lady Buff track and field in 2 different locations again this last weekend, as again the distance runners were up at Grand Valley State, where all 5 runners set new personal records, including a solid performance from Nicolina Relic. And then the Lady Buffs having a very solid showing over in New Mexico.
Yeah, we split our squad this week. Don Kirby, very highly competitive meet. We took some of our kids over there to try to get some marks to hopefully push them, push and solidify their spots into the national meet. I think some of our kids were a little intimidated. I mean, it was a very, very high quality meet. Oregon was there, and some of the best competition in the nation as far as track and field goes. So I don't think it was probably the result that we wanted. And so we need to make sure that those kids kind of regroup and turn around and focus for the conference meet this week. Up in Grand Valley, I thought our middle distance and distance crew did a really good job. We had, I'd say, almost 10 to 12 PRs, season bests, and Owen Hine broke another school record in the 5K, which is great. And I think he really has set himself up for a good national meet.
Up next for the Buffs and Lady Buffs, they'll head to Alamosa, Colorado once again, but this time for the Lone Star Conference Championships.
Well, I think it's great that we've been there. We kind of know the routine, know the facility, know the area. I mean, it's good to feel comfortable where you're at. It's almost been like a second home to us for the last 2 years, but really nothing out of the ordinary. Our kids just got to realize it's about creating momentum, getting in there, competing hard, supporting each other, and then whatever happens at the end of the day happens. We've always kind of gone by that motto through the years, and I think if we just stick to that, we'll be all right.
Also, WT Equestrian back to work as they actually hosted an event this last weekend. Lauren Eaton and Hannah Ellis ended up having solid performances on the weekend as both of them qualified for the regional championships, and Lauren Eaton also earned High Point Rider of the weekend. Up next for WT Equestrian on the 25th and 26th, the Lady Buffs will actually host the Western Regional Championship on the 25th and 26th. Lady Buff Golf getting their season started as they went to the St. Mary's Rattler Invitational. On Monday, the Lady Buffs ended up finishing 5th after one round of play due to the second round being canceled due to weather. Up next, the Lady Buffs will head to the St. Edward's Invitational down in Austin, and the guys will get their season started with a St. Mary's invite.
Yeah, so far the weather forecast is for 80 degrees, possible chance of rain Monday, but that's okay. I've been in San Antonio several times where it's been 30 degrees, so some of the worst weather I've ever been involved in college golf has been in San Antonio, so hopefully we'll avoid that, but right now it looks pretty good, and hopefully we can go down there and just have a solid golf tournament.
We would like to thank you for joining us this week on Heard That. Like I said, it was a lot of information to cover this week. But again, we'd like to thank you for joining us for the WT Sports Network. I'm Zach Barnes. And if you haven't checked it out yet this week, baseball, softball, and basketball highlights were posted on Monday and Tuesday. And I'll put some boxes right here next to me that you guys can click to go check those out. But again, for the WT Sports Network, I'm Zach Barnes. We'll see you next week.